Hello, this is a very different video in the sense that I am returning to Five Nights at Freddy's max modes. I used to beat these quite often, and I've beaten quite a few of them. I used to enjoy them enough so that my most popular video is still ultra custom. These aren't exactly new to me, nor do I find them very difficult, or fun for that matter anymore, which is a topic I will discuss later in this very video. However, it's been years since I actually attempted any, and there have been many to come out. Many I've wanted to attempt, many I had and decided not to complete even outside of this video. So here we are. I wanted to make my return and claim some victories in max modes that I specifically wanted to or attempted to in the past to beat. I will showcase the full victorious runs in their entirety after my discussion on how good, bad, or interesting the mode was, and after giving a brief explanation as how I beat it. I hope you enjoy. Outside of the joke intro to this video being a FNaF rain world recreation, our actual first proper fan game max mode goes to This is a very popular fan game about a sister location to Freddy Fazbear's, but with cats and other animals like a penguin. The mode consists of 7 characters: Candy, Cindy, Chester, Penguin, Old Candy, Blank, and Rat. Now, Candy and Cindy will simply appear at your doors. You don't even need the cameras, as you can actually see their eyes in the dark. A very neat mechanic that I actually quite like. Chester and Penguin will also appear at your doors. Penguin just being smaller, but still having the glowing eyes, which is kind of silly, but also kind of cute. The next 3 are what makes this somewhat difficult. Old Candy will appear at your doors, but you can't see his eyes, requiring you to check the cameras. This is also true for the Rat. Blank is the only animatronic who will appear in the center window. He sits on his lone camera up at top and will slowly progress to the fated window. When he leaves the camera, you must shut the window, otherwise he will punch and shatter it, effectively ending your run. And that's kind of about it. It's not super hard. It's really simple and ultimately has very, very little RNG from what I can decipher. But I decided to go into it without having ever played Five Nights at Candy's. Hang on, wait, hang on. Wait. Hang on, wait. Okay, hang on. I seem to be missing a crucial... I closed the game. Yeah, this made it arguably a little more confusing for the first, 10 to 15 minutes. Don't ask me why I did this. I guess I just thought it'd be funnier and easier than actually playing through the entire game, which, to be clear, still only wound up taking me about 40 minutes, even with a 5-minute break to ensure I had the right strategy down. Overall, it's a fairly fun mode, and for a starter max mode, pretty simple and pretty easy. A good place to start, but not really offering much more. I don't think the Five Nights at Candy's games are particularly difficult, so regardless, here is my 720 run. What did I get to? I won't know. Fuck. Come on. Yes! Dude. That only took like an hour to figure out. Let's go. Holy shit. Nice. Overall, not bad. I do really like the aesthetic, and considering the gameplay is as simple as it gets with these fan games, I think it does a decent job at being fun enough. I don't fully understand why the cameras have a night vision light thing that has to be manually turned on at the beginning and just stays on, as it seems like extra steps for seemingly no reason unless it saves on power, but you have ample power to keep it on the whole time. So I don't know, outside of that, everything, you know, works, and it's serviceable. It's not crazy hard, but it's serviceable. The same can't be said fully about this next game, however. Ah, yes. A very infamous fan game franchise with zero developer controversies. This run is actually really fun. When I said everything works and is serviceable about Five Nights at Candy's, and I said it couldn't be said about this game, I meant because everything in this game works and is quite excellent with how it flows and it cycles while still being an imposing and difficult challenge. One Nights at Flumpty's actually has 3 nights, if you will. The normal night, which keeps you in this main office, where you have a limited amount of flashes, a temperature gauge that needs to be filled up by going to the left vent or furnace, and then you have a actual vent to your right, where only one specific character will come down. You'll see more about that later. And then, of course, you have your center hallway, where the rest of the threats will reside. This is actually a rather tight cycle-based mode, where the temperature is by far the most important and leading threat. Without it, you would die. And truthfully, if this mechanic wasn't part of this mode, it would be a breeze. It would be incredibly easy. Essentially, you have to sit in front of this furnace to raise your temp in between attacks. You have to check the cameras for this square man, who will have a top hat just before entering the hallway. When he's there, you have to flash him to be warded off. This is offset by the clown, who makes his way in a similar fashion, but if he enters the hallway, you need to do the opposite, and you can't flash him, otherwise he will end your run. Which creates this need to keep track of the clown, so you know when to not flash versus when you have to. From time to time, when lowering your monitor, you will see eyes. Now, eyes requires 2 flashes, which slowly recharge, so after doing 1, you actually have to wait a while before you can do it again, which, you know, if you don't know where the clown is, can be kind of scary, because he can appear between those flashes, or even when you go to flash him away the first or last time. To offset this, however, you have the beaver, who enters on the vent, which you have its own separate camera, and then when he's there, you need to just turn to the right and flash him. It's not super complicated, but it's just another active threat to keep the night moving and to break the cycle or flow. The last dude thing is a broken golden Flumpty egg that essentially, if you close your monitor when he's on that camera you're on, he'll jump scare you and almost empty your temperature, which completely breaks your cycle and will almost always end your run in demise because it takes forever to raise it from this level. On top of all of that, and having to check the furnace, there is actually another red swiggle guy here who enters the furnace over time. When he's in the furnace, you have to stay away from it. If you try to visit it while he's in it, kill you. So the loop, while simple in theory, is quite tense in some areas and can get really, really tight. You know, if you have very specific cases like the clown, eyes, you know, someone's in the furnace but you're low on temperature, and then you check the vent and he's coming in. So there's a lot of moving parts, but it mostly revolves around just keeping the temperature up. It's a very different max mode from how I've played, but overall, it's not bad. It's actually quite fun, albeit a little bit easy. You know, you just check your temperature from time to time, deal with them, yada yada, and then you hit 3 a.m. Oh, okay. Yeah, so at 3 a.m., everything I just said, kind of throw it out the window. It becomes much more complex as Flumpty becomes all of those current threats with slightly different tweaks to them, and then adds another 3 or so. I wish I knew this before I attempted hard-boiled mode, which is, you know, the third night or the hardest night, because my reaction is fairly accurate to what you'd expect for someone who didn't know this was going to happen or what the hell is going on. What? 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 What's happening? Oh, it's different. Oh, exposure. What is happening? I don't know what's happening. I have no idea. I have no idea. Don't skip gameplay for the sake of doing the hardest mode. It's dumb. So how exactly does the 3 a.m. switch work? Well, I actually had to go play the second night, called Flumpty's Night, to understand all the mechanics first, which is what the 3 a.m. switches to, albeit harder. Basically, Flumpty takes over as the squarehead guy, the furnace goober, the vent beaver, and adds a few more active threats. Now, there'll be 2 doors that you will notice almost immediately, with power to them. They're only related to one version of Flumpty. He will be in one of those 2 cameras, which corresponds to the appropriate doors. However, there's an audio and visual cue every now and then where they literally flip, meaning when it occurs, you need to be very mindful as to what side he's flipping to. When he's not in the camera last seen, he's out the door, and you just need to laser it down? I don't know. As I said before, you do have door power. Although it seems extremely forgiving, you can essentially keep one door closed the entire night from how it looks, or at least really close to it. Now, instead of a clown, it's actually the clown from the second game, or maybe the first game. Basically, he will count down as a patience meter, and when that patience meter is all the way empty, he will appear in your office. You need to flash him before he fills up this exposure meter, which, when full, will kill you. However much the exposure meter fills up is actually permanent, so doing it very quickly is a necessity. Now, at some point around 2 a.m. in the Flumpty's night, 2 extra cameras will fall down. I believe this happens at around either 3 or 4 a.m. in the hard-boiled mode. When these 2 extra cameras fall on top of the map, it's basically just one extra guy. The left camera just shows him making progress. Once he finishes coming from the left side, he moves to the right camera where you need to close this door on him, otherwise he'll disable your door power. So it's just an extra random thing that you have to keep your mind at. It's not that hard, and the Flumpty's version of it is definitely a little bit harder because there's a lot more to keep track of. But I think it's more forgiving in some aspects because it understands that there's more to keep track of as it is. So overall, it's not that bad. The only real threat before 3 a.m. is Golden Flumpty, and then after 3 a.m. it's probably the furnace guy or the Flumpty that comes down the middle. As long as you don't waste 4 to 5 flashes and you're mindful of your temperature, it's not the hardest mode I've ever beaten. And it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of RNG either. Everything seems pretty perfectly spaced out so that when there is one threat that appears, it can be dealt with regardless of the circumstance, allowing you to almost always win, at least from what I've been able to deduct from my gameplay. Now, I of course decided to do it without having played the first 2 nights, so my reaction to it all is quite entertaining. Still, even with this debuff, it only took me about another 40 minutes, even with a 10-minute break just to collect myself. Here is my hard-boiled 1 night at Flumpty's 3. God, a mouthful. I can do hard-boiled. First pick on. 1 attempt at the Flumpty night, and I did it, and, you know, I almost beat it. Come on. Got this. I just gotta remember that gear switch, because holy shit, there's a lot that goes on in that second part. No one's anywhere. It's weird. Okay. Kind of wasted a flash there, that's my bad. Clown's on his way, Bird's on his way. Should be able to get him before Clown gets here. He's probably pretty close. No? Not really. Just one back up. Clown's return to sender. That's unfair. Alright, I wasted so many flashes, but I think I need like 15 to beat the Flumpty Knight. That roughly seems right. So I'm just gonna have to hope it flips from you. Yeah, I'm gonna have to hope it flips.
Bark, 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 bark.
There we go. He's on the left. Left, not close. Patience. Somewhat close. Center. Bent. Left. Got the middle. Top about to come. Heat. Oh my god. It's too easy. Woo! Give me a challenge, dude. Oh. I'm free. Very neat. Overall, I'd say this is one of the easier but more fun modes to beat. Everything being just tight enough to be satisfying, but ultimately super fair and forgiving is enjoyable and isn't nearly as irritating as a lot of other max modes come to tend up. I also want to give huge props to the music. It's phenomenal. um, However, the creator can fuck off. If you know anything about him, you will understand why I'm saying that. I do not endorse anything like that. I just wanted to play this game. I didn't actually know anything about the developer until I started playing this game and then looked more into it. It's a shame, but in my opinion, I just think art can be separated from the creator. It is what it is, unfortunately, and not in the sense of it made really good games or that, things didn't happen. It's a shame because it ruins things that otherwise shouldn't have to be ruined and puts a stain on the community. Regardless, on to the next game, which isn't a fan game, but was a sure as hell interesting max mode. What an abomination of a name. This is a really weird max mode, and not one I intended to originally do. However, as I was going to prepare for this video, I came across many videos dissecting max modes for the base game FNaF. Now, it came to my attention that they are really rather easy, and they follow very strict cycles. They still aren't 100% consistent, or for this matter, even fun, but they are easy, or at least easier than they used to be. I learned and watched a video about the strategy on how to beat this mode, and what the overall timing for things, and, well, just kind of in general how to beat it. And so I did, on my third attempt. There's not much to say for this run, but I'll run through it real quick. You start by running to the left side, shining your light because no animatronics spawn for the first few seconds, so this loads the assets and makes it faster later on in the night. You then need to check Foxy for exactly 10 seconds, then check Freddy, then check the left door again, right door, Freddy, Foxy for 7 seconds, Freddy, left door, right door, repeat. That really is it. As long as you do it in those intervals and are quick at the doors, and I do mean quick, I don't think it's actually possible to lose this run until 4 a.m. 4 a.m. hits in Nightmare mode. Nightmarion or the Nightmare comes out to play. This is where a lot of the luck comes in and even though it's quote unquote consistent when you hear, say, a fake laugh, which either puts him on the bed or he doesn't move at all or goes in the closet, I didn't bother to learn that because there's a whole lot of bullshit that comes with it. I fully expected to die multiple times at this point specifically. Instead, I got unfathomably lucky and beat it despite missing 2 laughs on my first 4 a.m. plus attempt. I have nothing else to say. This mode went that quick that I have no footage to show that isn't recorded just by talking this long. Now, because it's a blind mad mode, instant foxy nightmare bullshit, there's nothing to really look at, and I apologize for that. It is quite boring, and that's why I use the cheats just to show you something so you can at least understand what I'm saying. I literally had to record footage after the fact just so there's something to look at. So unfortunately, it's all audio based, so it's really quiet. There's really nothing going on. Regardless of that fact, here's my FNaF for Blind Mad Freddy Instant Foxy Nightmare Mode. Please. Fuck. Why am I still alive? Please? Hello? Oh my god! Holy shit! What? What? Holy shit! And that's that. Pretty boring to watch. Like I said, I apologize. I don't know what else I could have done. It's honestly not super interesting, but I'll at least let past me explain why I really wanted to beat this run. That's crazy. I have never, like, this is literally the last base game Five Nights at Freddy's challenge that I have never been able to beat, nor have I ever wanted to attempt or been able to. I am bewildered. I am genuinely confused as to how I didn't die in that ending segment. He had to have done a real laugh, and then I must have just waited just long enough while holding that door closed that he did another laugh that moved him again, because I should have died twice. I guessed wrong both times he laughed, and for some reason I survived. Once I saw that timer hit like 5:50, that's why I was like, come on, please. I know I started it like slightly early, but surely it was only 6 minutes, and it was. And I didn't even use Fun with Balloon Boy or anything. I legitimately did that on my first proper attempt after getting past the beginning segment. And it's on the Halloween edition, which is arguably harder. Dude, I couldn't hear anything but Mangle's grrr. I'll take it. I'll fucking take it, dude. Let's move on to Lego. Now this is a really clever and cool fan game to me. I used to play Lego games all the time as a kid, and even into my early adulthood. Lego games are just silly fun, so I had to try this game out. It's so brilliantly recreated and has a lot of challenges, collectibles, secrets, unlockable skins that change up the game, visuals and sounds. It's just fun. I simply adore this type of fan game. However, unfortunately, it got DMCA'd, meaning it is no longer publicly available, which is such a shame. I understand why, but come on, it's cool. This max mode is very, very similar and indicative of Markiplier's OG 420 mode video. Now, Markiplier didn't make that strategy, I just feel like that's the best comparison I can make. You close the right door when the camera flips up, and then you open that door, check the lights, right door down, camera flip, repeat. Which is easy on paper, but is incredibly easy to mess up. This one is a bit different, however, because it has challenge modes, and you can mix it up drastically however you want. You can completely change every single one of the mechanics in just horrible ways. Like, you can make Freddy basically the puppet from FNaF 2 if you really wanted to. Now, I decided the 420 mode was enough. I didn't want to go crazy because, as I said before, I'm not here for the crazy challenges. I'm mostly just here to beat the max mode, or at least close to it. I really like the aesthetic of this as well and the vibe of it. So the only real difference in terms of gameplay from base FNaF is that I would watch the left hallway for Bonnie, and I would close the right door every time I flipped, and then once Bonnie was there, then I would check the left side. Now the reason you have to do the old 420 mode strat from the base FNaF game is because Freddy can't be cam stalled in this Lego FNaF game. So closing the door is literally the only option. Now you may notice plushies, these little Lego plushies that you can actually purchase in the shop that this game has, using the Lego currency found through secrets or beating nights or even the challenges. Now these guys are fairly helpful in not wasting more time, or in this case power, when you know you don't have to check the lights. See, the plushies will bounce up and down when a character is posed to either kill, attack, or when they leave. For this instance, Chica and Bonnie, they'll leave and the plushes will bounce. I like this. It's simple, but it adds a lot in my opinion, and I would have loved to see it evolved in more ways in other games or even in this one in general, but sadly I don't think it's a really utilized mechanic. Like, I can imagine a max mode so tight on power that you can't really check the lights or something when they're blocked by the doors. Now I'm just thinking of FNaF 1 here, but they could be used in multiple other ways. It'd be really cool to have a mechanic where there's a visual cue like these plushies to determine when they are gone. I think this could very easily be expanded in my head, and I don't understand why there isn't a game out there that does this. Like, a game that is entirely visual cues instead of checking the lights, or even just partly audio cues to know when they are there or aren't there. I think that's really cool. All this to say, this is a really cute, simple, relatively hard because it's the straining old 420 mode, fun fan game. I really enjoyed it. Now, this goes without saying that you can make this way harder. Here is my winning run. Ah, fuck. Okay. I think that's my strat. fucking sweet. Oh, that grips the wrist though, doesn't it? Nice. It was very similar to the first, like the actual FNaF 1 420 mode, but unique enough that I'm going to count that as part of this video. Very solid. Originally, I had actually attempted a Finance of Candies 3. I thought Finance of Candies 3 would be a good fit after doing Finance of Candies 1. I figured I could like throw in the next game, midway through. But it just wasn't that fun or interesting. I think I just don't like the gameplay. It also just didn't seem like it was very hard. So I decided, after doing that, if I was going to do a fan game with a really easy max mode or something, I'd rather do one that's more fun or interesting, and because it's not publicly available, I think it's actually more intriguing to both me and hopefully the viewer. So I went with this. Now, I don't have much more praise I can give this game, because at the end of the day, it's just a recreation of an already good game in a Lego fashion with tons of little things that just kind of stack on top of each other, being really cool. If you like Lego games or anything like that, this is a really fun one. But of course, in typical me fashion, I went from probably the most fun one to the one I disliked the most. Funtime Gala. This is a stupid max mode. I mean no disrespect to Shooter 25. If this is the kind of max mode you like, then all the more power to you. But I hated this mode. It's one of the hardest max modes, at least according to the max mode list. Now this is a list indicative of the Geometry Dash demon list. Basically, it's a list showcasing all the most difficult max modes in any fan game you can imagine, each one having points and different ranks depending on both skill and luck. Funtime Gala ranks 10. Oh, pause the video. Turns out the max mode list, I guess, updated, because on the main list, the hard mode Funtime Gala, very hard, whatever, is no longer number 10. In fact, it's now number 13. I swear it was 10th place. I double checked that fact too before I wrote that script. I don't know when it moved. Now, just to give you perspective of how difficult that is, 50-20 mode ranks, I think it's 90 something. So, yeah. However, that means this is one of those move at speeds nearly unfair with lots of noises and frame perfect door shuts to green run, which green run is when you beat the night with positive power, because as we know, the most fun way to win is by power management through perfect door and cam flips for over 6 minutes while a whole bunch of bullshit happens. Even with that said, I still think it's a really neat customite, and I think in general, and especially technically speaking, it's really fun. Now, I played the 12-20 mode on 10 difficulty and 15 just to practice. Now, I beat the 12-10 and the 12-15, and to be honest, those versions of it were quite fun. And I truthfully think the 12-20 mode isn't that bad, and I also think it's still decently fun. What makes me hate this mode is that there's this really nifty mechanic that they added that turns certain characters, or all characters depending on what you choose, into a hard variant. These hard variants take a random element of that animatronic and just flips it in a way that I despise. Here's a good example. Funtime Freddy. His hard variant no longer plays the audio of him running left to right. Or Ennard completely removes the audio of him leaving, I think. Or at the very least, it has no directional audio, so you just don't know what side it's on, meaning you have to check the cameras. So despite being able to hear them both, and you will hear them multiple times, you can't do anything. It forces you to look at the cameras, and very quickly, because the power management is so tight. Every character has a buff in this hard mode that just makes it irritating. Now, Baby and Ennard are the two animatronics that adds. Ennard just works like his normal knight that he has in Night 5 of Sister Location. So he just appears in the left, right, or middle hallway, and you just have to close the door when you hear a second audio cue. But like I said, the hard mode, throw that out the window. Point is, I don't like max modes like this. I don't like max modes that have zero wiggle room in them. Now, I beat Sister Location pre-patch, and that was one of those modes where you have to green run. I don't know if it was just because it felt so much more confined and tight and less annoying. You know, there was more forgiveness in it, I feel, than there is in this. This feels like it's designed to be the hardest mode possible, which if that's what it's going for, and I think it was, it succeeds in that. So if that is the case, then good on it, you know? It's just not my kind of thing. The only reason I bring this up is because I actually played 4 other FNaF games, or FNaF fan games, I should say, for this video. However, I didn't include them, and I'm not going to include them in this video. The 4 that I decided to play that I didn't end up going through with them were Frick Boys 3, Animator Cell, Tirerland, and UCN Deluxe. Beta 3 and 4 is the 4th one released in the middle of me making this video. I want to be very, very clear here. None of these are bad. None. I truly believe no one makes a game intentionally bad. I just don't enjoy some aspects of them, and ultimately didn't like how they played. So the reason I had Funtime Gala here was, one, because it leads into why I chose this next game, but also the, you know, what I decided wasn't good for this video. I don't want to spend 20 to 50 hours grinding this out. I do think I could beat it, but it would definitely take me 20 to 50 hours to do so. It's just something I don't have time for anymore. With that all said, this is still a very good mode. I don't think it's bad. It's just, you know, not something I wanted to do. But I really wanted to do a sister location custom night fan game. So I decided to ask my friend about it and see if there was any that maybe I could try. And that's when I landed on this. To me is a lot more interesting, and in my opinion is better. Even if it is actually more scuffed at the end of the day, it takes that initial custom night from sister location and actually adds 8 more threats. Now you would think with these 8 new threats, when the previous one we just looked at, Funtime Gala, only added 2, would make this one significantly worse. It doesn't. You don't even need to green run in this one, yet the power is still pretty tight. Now, the 6 more that it adds are rough. They are definitely scuffed. So Freddy will act like UCN Freddy. Basically, he just appears in the left hallway, slowly making progress. When he's there, you're actually able to see him in the hallway, which reminds me of 5 Minutes of Candies, which kind of feels like I prepared for that. Withered Bonnie will act like UCN again. He'll just appear in the office from the doors or vent, and you just have to flip on the mask. However, it's on the top, or you have to press Q, and the intervals are very random, so truthfully, he's my least favorite one from this. Nightmare Chica will act exactly like UCN. I think you get the point at this point. She closes her jaw, but because you don't have, you know, the power AC, you have to flip with the cameras, and this gets rid of it. This is a surprisingly easy yet functional mechanic. Now, Baby works a little bit different. Where in Funtime Gala, she said 2 numbers, you had to press them, otherwise she gets rid of power. In this mode, she counts down to 3, 2, 1, and then once she hits 1, she appears in either the left or right hallway, and you just have to zap her. The other one from UCN would be Old Man Consequences, which you just press C to get his fish thing, otherwise your monitor can't be used. Now, the last animatronic they add is Phantom Foxy. Now, they do work kind of like FNaF 3. Basically, if you look at them too long, they will jump scare you, taking out your oxygen. However, they'll appear either the left or right of your office. You have to avoid looking at them. What this means is it breaks the strategy that almost all sister location custom nights have, or especially the original one. Where Funtime Freddy would go left or right, you typically would move your mouse to the left or right in order to mentally keep track of where he was. Phantom Foxy is the exact literal combative to the strat, and I love that. And then you also have AntKen. I forgot about AntKen. He's just UCN. Once a night he appears close to front vent. That's all. Now this mode is hard, and it's one of the harder ones that I've done. But it's still based off of the least RNG heavy mode in base FNaF, while still just adding more that I feel definitely makes it more fluid. The only one I don't like is Withered Bonnie. I don't understand his addition. He doesn't add anything to this. I do think it's still beatable in about 100% of situations. I don't feel like there's that much RNG. And ultimately, this 1820 mode was a lot more fun than the Funtime Gala. I think Funtime Gala is just too tight for me. Now you do have challenges, and again, similar to the Lego mode, you actually have a shop and stuff that you can purchase things in. Now these challenges can either make the night longer by about 2 minutes, I think, make it so you have less oxygen, i.e. it goes down a lot faster. Flashlight mode, which takes Five Nights at Candy's 3 and turns it into this, which is awful. And then hyper mode. Hyper mode makes them, I think, twice as fast in almost every case, or at least changes their interval, so it definitely feels like they're twice as fast. I didn't use any of that. I just wanted to beat the Golden Freddy mode, or Super Golden Freddy mode, or whatever it's called. So here is my 1820 Super Custom Night Run.
That sure was fun.
1. 3. 2. 1.
Find your way inside.
Sweaty palms.
3. 2. 1. 2. 1. 3.
Come on. Yeah! That wasn't even that. Whew. That's stressful. Whew. Okay. Another one bust dust. Alright, timer strats, let's get out of here. For now, because I'm assuming I'll leave him. Oh my goodness. Now this leads us to the final game I would end up playing, at least on this list, which is... After all that talk about UCN and UCN mechanics, this is a VR recreation of the original one. This is shockingly difficult. Obviously, or maybe not so obviously, you may have noticed, I'm not doing 50-20 mode. I'm sorry. If you expected that, the truth is, it's just way too hard. My goal was to beat 40-20 initially, because 50-20 I knew was going to be way too difficult, but I then settled on just beating Chaos 3, the hardest challenge mode that the game wants to offer that's in the original UCN. And it was still shockingly hard. Being in a 3D environment and having almost every single animatronic change to fit the VR world is weird. It's a weird experience. In total, I think this took me about 4.5 or 5 hours, which is kind of wild, because that means this one mode took me about as long as every other mode combined. Now, as I alluded to, the fangame takes the basic concepts from UCN and fits it into VR. So for instance, you can no longer cam stall because you can physically see the cameras at all times. So any plush animatronics or any office stalling animatronics are just, that doesn't work. You can't do that. Every threat is an active threat all of the time. If you have a plush animatronic spawn, say Nightmare Bonnie or Baby, you have to go buy their plush when they appear. It doesn't matter if you're looking at them in the camera or not, because they can't be cam stalled. If you have a front vent animatronic, say Chica, Mango, Molten Freddy, you have to use that vent snare or you have to shut that vent when they appear. You cannot wait until you quote-unquote flip the cameras, because there is none of that.
Really?
Even something as simple as, say, Freddles, it's not just pick up the flashlight and shine it, which you have to physically pick up and shine them. But instead of just being forward or in a specific spot, they're in like 6 random spots and 3 of them will spawn, and you have to specifically find them and shine it on them. There's a whole element to it. It's kind of insane. Nightmare Balloon Boy will be underneath your right hand desk, meaning you have to physically look at him from time to time because he's not in your peripheral anymore. This means that when he does move, and it's pretty subtle, he'll just turn his head. You have to grab that flashlight real quick, shine it in his eye for a couple seconds, put it down. There's so much more interactivity with it, and it's really engaging. But this makes it so much harder. I mean, I really could keep going on for almost all 56, if not for all 56 animatronics. It's amazing. It's such a well-made fan game. It's genuinely embarrassing. It's incredibly fun. And honestly, I really want to go back and do 40-20 or even 50-20 if I had the time. I did start out on some of the easier challenges just to get used to how some of the animatronics work in this VR mode because they're just that different. Once I had dealt with about half of them or so, I decided to just jump into Chaos 3. Now the best strat I could find for Chaos 3 was to grab the wet floor sign, which sits on the left of your desk, and put it towards the left door. Since generally speaking I'm looking on the right hand side for Nightmare Balloon Boy, it meant that I almost always saw the right door. So if Rockstar Chica were to show up, which you could see her eyes in, because again, one of the mechanics of this VR mode was, you know, you're not going to be able to look at the cameras all the time. So they made it so a lot of the animatronics can be seen directly in the hallways, which is really cool. This meant that whenever she appeared, I could just grab it and move it to the right, or at least close the right-hand door until I was able to. I would always close the vent behind me because of Balloon Boy and JJ. They're way too quick to be dealt with, and you have ample power to actually have that door closed the entire night with some power to spare. I don't know if this is an intentional thing, like they knew Balloon Boy and JJ were just that big of a fucking problem. But Balloon Boy and JJ on 20 AI will legitimately appear every 3 to 5 seconds.
Damn.
It is not possible to do without just keeping it closed. You just don't have the time. Now, you had to make sure that when Foxy appeared on the desk, you looked at him. Because, as I said, everything is an active threat. That means Bonnie and Foxy would just switch at random intervals. Now, when Foxy was there, you just had to make sure you clicked on that camera. Because if you did not, Foxy would get in. There's nothing you could do about it. I died to him a lot. Now, you still have to make sure you place the audio lure and use the heater very frequently. Because, again, there is no office stalling. In the original UCN, you could just sit in the office and the duct animatronics would never jump scare you as long as you didn't flip up the camera. Not the case. They're active threats again. So you have to use the heater consistently or keep track of them consistently.
Dude.
It's pretty rough. Now, because Nightmare Bonnie is in Chaos 3, it means that you have to get coins. So most of this night revolved around coin farming. Now, even though Balloon Boy and JJ give their coins, the AI was only at 10, I think, for Chaos 3, so they didn't farm coins as fast as I needed them to.
Really?
Leaving it mostly to the cameras. All this to say, it's really hard. The other two big factors of this night is Rockstar Bonnie, which she'll appear on the left of you, usually by like a random fade-in that'll happen or during other animatronics coming in and out. You had to find his, guitar on the cameras and click on it. Now, him appearing on the left, man, I constantly had to check my left side and right side. I was bouncing back and forth. However, the wombo combo for this night is Nightmare Run, first off, will appear on the left or right hand side. You just can't look at the left or right hand side for very long. And Old Man Consequences. Old Man Consequences is what killed me 90% of the time. Because you only get 2 chances to click his fish when he's over it before he disables your cameras. I despise Old Man Consequences. It makes this so much harder than it needed to be. If I missed Old Man Consequences, Rockstar Bonnie typically killed me because I just didn't have enough time. It also doesn't help that it's in VR. In VR, there's always that VR jank. So a lot of my deaths or problems came from that. I'd go to press the front vent door and I'd accidentally hit 3 other doors just because it's just a fizz in the way it works. I tried clicking the screen multiple times, or my hand would flip out and it just didn't work. My finger would randomly start bending because I have a valve index. My finger tracking is there, but for some reason it would be bent more inwards, so I had to tilt my hand just so the finger would go up, or I'd have to get the tracking back on. Overall, I still think it's really fun. If you have a VR headset available to you, I would say give it a shot. It's that enjoyable.
What the fuck? Oh! Really? I'm gonna swat you out of there. Oh! Good thing, Chica. Oh, shit. No! I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Everything sucks. Ah. Give. Oh. No. Ooh, right. The heater is on. What do you mean? Fuck. Fuck! Oh, shit. Fuck. You. I'm.
What a fine day to come here and say that your face and flesh I must play.
Please deposit 5 coins.
Freddy doesn't like this.
Please deposit 5 coins. Please deposit 5 coins. Thank you for depositing 5 coins.
Yes! Fuck you! Oh my god. Finally. Jesus. Whew. That is a headache, man. Oh. Yes. Finally. Oh my god. Holy shit. That took like 2 hours. Man, oh man. Between the cushions. Oh yeah, that's the good popcorn right there. Yeah. Ugh. Because I did Chaos 3, I can do any of these other ones. I mean, I struggled on Ladies Night for the sole reason of getting coins, but like this would be really easy right now, and so should the rest of these. I mean, the only one that I think might pose a challenge is Nightmare's Attack. But otherwise, I mean... So that ends my max mode fan game extravaganza that I decided to do. I really enjoyed making this video and playing these games. As I had stated before, the games I didn't play or that weren't included, they're just not something that really fit with what I wanted to do. And a lot of these max modes aren't particularly hard, and I understand that, so there's a part of me that wants to do another version of this video where I do those hard max modes. Funtime, Gala, Animator's Hell, the challenge versions of the Lego FNaF game, UCN, Deluxe or something, but I just don't enjoy their mechanics very much. It's a weird thing to try to balance out. Hopefully this video was still enjoyable despite that. Brick Boys 3 ended up being the last fan game I would play, and I had a rambling that I did at the end of it that I think very adequately ends off both this video and my thoughts on everything. So I'll let that play once, I thank you for watching and making it this far in the video. Now, if you did, why not subscribe? It's completely free. You can always change your mind. And this is the type of content I think I'm going to be making. Really longer form videos with challenges in between them. My next video is probably going to be on Repo. I think I want to do a solo million quota run or whatever you want to call it. I think that'd be really fun and it'd be an interesting video to make because I know nothing about Repo. I've played only about 4 hours of it, so I think that'll be my next one, probably in about a week or two. So with that being said, here is my rambling from the end of Brick Boys 3. So take it away, future but past me, but before me, but after me. But I'm falling into the same trap that I did with Animator's Hell and quite a few of the other games that I've tried and end up not really wanting to do. I'm done with FNaF, I think. I know my script is going to say it anyway, but maybe I'll just use this instead. But I stopped playing FNaF out of boredom. It got repetitive and monotonous, and it got to the point where it wasn't worthwhile for me to spend so much time doing it. It's not that I can't beat a lot of these max modes, it's that they're actively not fun to do. Like, I feel like I could beat the Funtime Gala thing, hard mode, whatever it was, but I just don't have the time. I don't have, 15 to 30 hours to grind and learn how to master it. When I do challenges in games like the All-Slick had some, 24 hours. I'm using that as an example because it really is my most recent one. That was 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago at this point. That takes a lot of strategizing, it takes a lot of time, and it's most of all perseverance. With these max modes and everything, it's not really a strategy as much as it's just learning a pattern and training your brain to react quicker to certain cues. And That's it. There's nothing else to it. There's no more substance. There's no more really intrigue. It's not. If you watch any victory of either my max modes or other people's max modes and try to compare the two, if you didn't know which person it was from, they would look almost identical. I mean, there's very little difference in most of them. And unfortunately, I think that's just a problem with click team games in general, or FNaF in general. They kind of all just blend together. Versus if you watch someone's playthrough of a campaign or a story game, or even the Joy of Creation for that matter, the Joy of Creation does have cycle-based moments, but a lot of it is still unique to that person because of its RNG aspects and its free roam elements. I'm just saying, you can still do the FNaF formula and have something else. Security Breach, I mean, terrible game, and everyone's copy is completely unique, but in retrospect, technically speaking, yes, it follows into the same thing. Now, those are free roam, and I know it's different. As far as click team goes, Tierland, I think, whatever the one I tried, but just kind of, it felt too easy and too simple or boring or whatever it was. That's a very unique take, and I feel like that could be very different. Juniors is another one that I think is excellent, but it's not one I included here or played or even wanted to try. With that being said, I'm not going to continue. I beat a couple, and I beat a few really hard ones and ones that I've wanted to do for ages. I.e. 2, and then I played VR, and VR was something I wanted to do for a while, which I think I could do the VR one if I had more energy and it wasn't 12 that night or whatever, but nonetheless.